Digital lending in Nigeria has grown rapidly as an alternative source of quick credit driven by innovative platforms and the need for financial inclusion.
Here the sector we hear is now being, regulated by the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission to address concerns about predatory practices, data privacy and unethical debt recovery methods.
Indeed, digital lenders in Nigeria offer quick collateral-free loans, typically ranging from 300,000 naira or more. Don't ask me how I know.
I am. I'm not going to ask you that.
And often approved within minutes through mobile apps.
And this platform serves millions of Nigerians excluded from traditional banking, while FCCPC serves as the primary regulator for consumer protection in the digital lending space.
Other bodies involved in the sector's oversight functions include Central Bank of Nigeria, the Nigeria Data Protection Commission, and the National Information Technology Development Agency.
Yes, and so far, FCCPC had granted approval to 438 digital lending companies. Details of approved lenders is available on the official FCCPC website, while customers are advised to use only approved platforms to avoid scams.
Well, the question will be, why so many lending platforms?
So many. 400 plus.
Anyways, well, consumers are experiencing harassment, unfair interest rates, or privacy violations from any digital lender are encouraged to report them to the FCCPC through their complaint channel at Lenders Task Force at fccpc.gov.ng. Now, on this note, I welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria. I'm Henry John.
And I'm Juma Yusuf. It's going to be an interesting conversation today. Thanks so much for joining us on this Tuesday morning. We're live on the network service of the NTA. You're welcome back, and thanks for joining us. We still have our guests seated here in the studio. I'll take some messages so that, Mr. Bamibo will respond to them here. This guy said he's straight from Lagos State. Thank you so much for this conversation. The so-called loan apps are fraud in disguise. I'm a victim and they harass hell out of me just because my paying day is due for just one day. With 1 minute, I received more than 50 calls from them, and when I picked, what I heard is something that I cannot tolerate. They don't know how to talk. They threaten, and their interest is too high. Imagine collecting 50 to pay 75 in 1 month, 20 to pay 25, 500 in 1 month. He said something, he has proved here that the loan apps are dangerous. And then another one said, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I commend you guys for coming up with steps to correct some of the shortcomings of these loan apps. My issue with them is the insistent calls they put to the contacts of the defaulters. And most of the times, these people they call are not even aware that the defaulters have been given loans. There should be a better way of dealing with the defaulters' contact than their usual harassment. He's Emmanuel Elue from Lagos State. And another one said, I was a victim. In my case was that I accessed a loan, and within the same week, I started receiving text messages and embarrassment calls. To avoid that, I quickly accessed order. Okay, I've read that one. And another one said, Abdullah Abubakar Katsina said, good morning, online banking overcharged and recharged after liquidation of loan. Now my bank account now debited with no recourse. This one said, this loan app supposed to be banned because their way of disturbing, calling or boss friend family is very bad. And me, I will not pay, because they have made my boss to see me as a bad person, and I am not. All this they are using is to spoil somebody's, name. So let's look at, you have a coordinated approach between you, the FCCPC, and, CBN, and this jurisdiction, does it sort of, overlap? And, people have been talking about issues like, where does this money come from? How do they source the money? People have said some of this money is from, criminal proceeds. So how are this money traced to know who has that money and where the money comes from? That's where the CBN and, of course, comes in. How do you trace the source of the money that they give out as loan? Because they talk like criminals. In the recent, they talk like criminals. So how do you trace the source of the money?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. Thankfully, we have the Money Laundering Act. We have the NFIU, Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit. They monitor all this type of transactions. But unfortunately, as we said, some of these organizations are, operating out of the country. So more or less, they are able to wherever. But what the regulation by the FCCP, what it has done is to insist for those that will be listed on the website that they should at least know the source, and that involves all of the agencies. Is it counter-proliferation financing, counter-terrorism financing, and anti-money laundering financing? All of these are there. You have the Financial Action Task Force, which is also global, under the and is being coordinated by the Ministry of Justice, Interministerial Committee that we are part of. There is a whole lot. We have number of agencies that are looking and trying to monitor all of this. In actual fact, the fact that when you travel, you tend to travel out of the country, or you're coming into the country and you are declaring your cash, is part of monitoring that. And happily, we are off the grey list. That means as much as possible, the ecosystem is free from this type of illicit funding. But that is not to say that the possibility is not still out there. Okay. Why? Because the model by which they operate, their business model is unorthodox.
All right,
to say the least.
Many thanks, Barrister Bambuye. I'd like to get to Tanimo now. You told us your experience, and then you said you made up your mind not to use any of these apps anymore. It's also in public space that those who use one app, in a bid to pay, they go to another app, borrow. They just keep moving from one app to the other. Why do you think, what should Nigerians do really? Just so that they can stay away, or rather use one app, do whatever they need to do and not have issues, right? Because, if you borrow and they tell you you have to pay 75,000, just pay and get it done with. Instead of owing here, moving from one place to the other and embarrassing your contact. That's one. Then two, in your own view, do you think what the FCCPC is intending to do will work in dealing with this problem?
Thank you very much. We must get some things clear here. The intervention of digital lenders is welcome. It's needed for the economy, the thriving economy. It's a good venture. What we need is more of regulation, more of protection. I foresee a situation where some of them can domicile, even if it's an office in Abuja, for the purposes of maybe eventual litigation. You know where to issue your court processes at. The regulator should be able to have the capacity. We are talking about capacity, the digital capacity, whereby they will be able to look from the back end what they are doing. For the consumer, they don't have the capacity. We are not discouraging it, but when the transaction is open, it's transparent. And you see, the digital lenders, they are now taking a cue from what the regular bankers are doing, armchair banking, whereby you sit on your desk, on the computer, you want to make all the profit in the world. Banking is a business that, just like any other business that you engage in, is liable to have losses and profitability. If 80% of the people are paying, you have made enough profit to cover the defaulter. What we want to see responsible aspect of debt recovery. My own case is that I have money in the account, but their system does not have the capacity to transfer money that is in savings, they call it whatever name, for more interest yielding. The money is there, but they don't have the capacity to take the money physically. Some of these challenges, even with the regular banking, they have that challenge, whereby the software is about capacity of software. If you look at most of these, those Ponzi schemes, the easiest way to detect their shenanigans and fraud is that if you look at the capacity of the software, you have to bring 10 people to bring 10 people. How will they flow in terms of repayment? If you ask them of their software, they cannot give you that. So it's the same thing. So we are encouraging FGCPC now. Now they have unlimited access to disclosure. The disclosure tool should focus on the software those service providers are using. By the time you're able to go through the back end, it's more of technical aspect, but they know what they have the capacity. They should develop that capacity whereby they'll be able to check the back end, the system. You'll be able to conduct integrity tests. What happens if I have money in my savings account and have a loan account that is running at the approved due date? Why is it not taking the money to defray the outstanding loan? Then there should be consequences. There is need for optimization. We cannot do away with digital lending. It's a welcome a stopgap. What the regular banks, most people now, if you look at, they are more in tune with the digital platform, not necessarily for lending purposes only. In terms of transaction is faster, is seamless. So we are not discouraging them. What we need is more of improvement, more of data protection, more of protecting the consumer. The approach should be seamless. If I have a problem, they've created an email whereby people can be able to, we need more encouragement. People should know that, yes, there is an email now based on the regulation, and once there's any default, once you get any call, any harassment, you should be able to send in your complaint, and those complaints should be attended to expeditiously. That will bring about responsibility, that will bring about sanity. If the risk assessment and analysis is carried out properly, if you are earning your salary, you are earning close to 150,000, you work in NTA, your salary is constant, there shouldn't be any reason for default. If there is default, the banks or the lender should be responsible enough to know that maybe there is a system glitch in NTA. You allow room, and the little time in there, adding a day or two or a week, it's not for free. You are being charged on a daily basis.
Interest.
So there's interest. Yes. So the harsh approach, the embarrassing way they go about the debt recovery, they need more of professionals, lawyers, bankers, people that know the way finances are done, so that by the time you now have more of professionalism, high-level supervision, digital intervention, even from the IGPC, now they should have IT experts that should be able to check their systems of operation. We'll have a reduction of this embarrassment. But I'm telling you, we need the digital intervention. It helps.
And you think people should patronize them?
People should patronize, but with a responsible approach from both parties. Disclosure, the terms and conditions should be very, very clear. The Data Protection Agency can now come in to say that, okay, for every long, voluminous consent form they are giving, there should be a bullet point, maybe 5 points. You are liable to do this, you are liable to do this. By the time you reach those ones first, then you can now go to the main one that will take you all the days to read. But once you know the key points are very explicit, a lot of these instances will, these incidences will be
Mr. Nada, so what role, are some, Google Play and Apple Store playing in enforcing, the Nigeria's lending regulations that is in play now?
Well, in terms of the compliance to the regulations, as I've said earlier, there's recognition of the ecosystem, and like you've rightly asked, they definitely play a role as a digital marketplace, for these. We all know that for these apps, for these applications to function, they usually would need to be uploaded by platforms like Google,
App Store
and all. Now, they would need an approval from the FCCPC before Google would upload them. That is clear. There is no app that is on the Google platform and these other ones that would have not gotten an approval from the Commission. And if there is an infraction, what the FCCP would do is to issue out an order to Google for those, that was part of the process that we had to take from when we began the intervention until now. So it's within the process of registration and monitoring of compliance of these applications. I also want to say that the regulations do not only cover the traditional digital lending in terms of funds only, but they also cover lending through the lending of data, credit that you purchase, this buy me, borrow me credit that goes on, all that also is covered. So the terms are such that we ensure that consumers of these services, even through the borrowing of credit, consumers are protected in that process also.
All right. Many thanks, Barrister Bangoye. You said Nigerians are protected, their data is protected, but I want you to speak about well-established agencies who give out data. I'm saying that because a lot of people have received messages who are federal workers, and then there's a message on your phone telling you, because you're a federal government worker, blah, 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 you can get this, you can get that. How did they know? If it's not a registered agency, I mean, maybe, I don't know, that has given that information, right? These telecom operators, before now, politicians, before this lending thing, I mean, some of us have never used these lending apps, so they don't have my data, right? But still, election is happening. Politicians are sending me messages that, okay, there's election in Bauchi. I'm not even from Bauchi. We want you to vote and all of that. And I'm asking, so regulated agencies, how come they also trade data of their clients to all kinds of agencies or people?
Thank you very much. But let me say with the keenest sense of responsibility that no agency of government has a mandate or a practice. Apart from the mandate, they don't have a mandate to sell data, and they don't have a practice to sell data. As we said, it is an age of convergence. It's an age in fourth industrial revolution. Technology is able to harvest and create a digital profile for you. You have friends that already saved your number as somebody working. It's just to mention that add NTA to your name. That's all. Most of anybody that will save my name will just Babatunde NDPC.
Yes.
And then the technology, artificial intelligence, can profile me as a government worker. So they know better. In fact, the type of data they have access to out there is more than what any agency can give. In fact, it is more than what you can give of yourself, the metadata. No individual can give as much data that this technology already has, passively, passive collection of data. You don't tell everybody, anytime you are moving along the road, Google can actually map your road. No agency of government has that. They know where you are at this point. They know where you spend your time. In fact, they know who sits with you every morning. They know whom you converse with. They know all of this. You don't give it. No agency of government has that capability to collect that manner of data. It's a digital profile, right? And that is why the law, we recognize all of this globally. There is Convention 108 Global, which is out there. There is EU GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation of the EU, which covers a number of countries as well. Then you have the ECOWAS Supplementary Act on Data Protection. You have the Malabo Convention, also on cybersecurity and data protection. It's a global phenomenon that all of us are coming together to solve, to ensure that, look, only collect what is necessary. Because we know you have the technology. Now AI has come in, and some other Internet of Things. All of these are collecting data. So we are putting a limit to what you can collect. And I think also to educate, awareness cannot be enough. Truly, even if you can't.
So frankly, Barrister Bangoye, are we safe being online?
To be honest, we are trying to be safe. It's just like they say, man always is, but never.
So it's a no.
We are fairly, as long as you know your rights, as long as you know what to do. It's just like, are we safe in the water? If you don't know how to swim, you are not safe. But is the water safe? Yes. If you know what to do when you are online, you could be safe. You would be safe.
That's why they say soften.
Yes,
Internet.
you should. You should.
Okay. Yes, I'm coming to you. And one person said, "What if I use my name to take a loan without somebody uses my name to take a loan without my consent?" And my question is, if you already have it, but are there plans to create a single national registry of approved apps, loan apps to guide consumers? Do you have it already? Yeah.
We already have, like I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
We have a list of approved loan apps.
He's talking about single, national registry for the loan apps.
Well, we like I was also saying, we already have a list of approved loan apps. So I would think that could be a starting point. Okay. You understand? And like I had said also earlier to consumers, we would need consumers to be responsible enough to just take the time to find out which loan apps have been approved.
What's your website?
www.fccpc.gov.ng.
Yes.
Yeah. So the list is there. It will take little, a very little time for consumers to just go to the website to see what the list is of approved loan apps. We can begin from there in terms of what we are talking of the National Registry as we continue to integrate and collaborate with other agencies. We can also begin from there in terms of safety for consumers, because when you begin to deal with these ones, yes, those that are registered and approved,
they can be reported.
Yes, they can be reported. It's easier for us to ensure compliance and corrective measures to be taken, and so on and so forth. And I also want to say, in addition to what Mr. Bangoye has said, government is also doing something. You are aware that the Commission has carried out an investigation on Meta, for instance, and it's related to the issue of data in collaboration with NDPC. So there's something that is being done. Are we 100% safe? We would say there is nowhere in the world where you have 100% security in anything. We're humans, but there's something that is being done. A big example, again, I'll say, is the regulations, the Beyond Consumer Lending regulations, which prohibit these actions, as we know, and even more. So as it is, companies are registering under these regulations. They are submitting themselves for compliance, for monitoring, and that provides safety, for consumers as we go on. So, of course, registration is ongoing. Entities are coming, and they're beginning to put themselves even under this more comprehensive regulation.
What will happen to those who refuse to register?
There will be definitely penalties would apply. And when we say penalties, we're not just talking financial, but we're talking of actions that will ensure that they correct their behavior, that consumers are protected, and whatever it is that comes about will ensure even more protection for consumers.
Your website again?
www.fccpc.gov.ng.
Okay, gentlemen, time is up. Mr. Marvin Nadar, Deputy Director, Surveillance and Investigation, Team Lead, Operationalization of the Beyond Consumer Lending Regulations, FCCPC. Thank you so much. I will have time to talk more about this in another date, actually. And Mr. Babatunde Bamboye Esquire, Head of Legal Enforcement and Regulations Department, Nigeria Data Protection Commission, NDPC. It's been a pleasure having you in the studio. And Ahmed Abubakar Tanimu, former banker and human rights lawyer. We loved your experience.
We don't have that kind of experience anymore.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. Thanks so much for your time. On behalf of the production crew, I'm Juma Yusuf. Thanks for watching.
All right, if you're owing any loan app, please pay up. I'm Yan Ray John. Live locked on the NTA.